Some sad and tragic news tonight as baseball has lost a legend alongside basketball losing Dikembe Mutombo earlier today. Cincinnati Reds fans and especially Major League Baseball fans across the world will be hearing this today as Pete Rose has passed away tonight. Pete Rose was born April 14th, 1941 in Cincinnati, one of 4 children. And he was a good hitter and all that. He signed a professional career contract with the Reds. This was before the MLB draft was a thing, so teams can pick up these players. So anyway, in a spring training game, Don Blasingame, the second baseman, actually pulled a groin muscle. Rose got his chance and made the most of it. During one spring training game against the Yankees, he was given the derisive nickname Charlie Hustle by Whitey Ford because he sprinted to first base after trying a walk. Rose actually adopted that nickname as a badge of honor, and a lot of people said that. Rose actually started off 0 for 11 in his major league career, kind of akin to Willie Mays, who passed away this year as well. He got his first major league hit, a triple off Pittsburgh's Bob Friend, batting .273. He did win the NL Rookie of the Year, so that's good and all that. He was a company cook in the military, and Rose was a pretty good player and all that. He went to the Venezuelan Winter League to improve his hitting by the 1965 season, and it helped him finish 6th in MVP voting and leading the league in hits with 209, the first of 10 seasons with 200-plus hits. He would be consistent in switching positions. He was consistently playing, but we couldn't find like a superstar position for him. He usually played third, he usually played first, he played outfield, left and right field, but I call him a first baseman because that's how Pete Rose should be. Cincinnati first. If you wanted to all-time Reds, I put Pete Rose at first base because third base should be Tony Perez, left field should be Ted Kluszewski, and right field should be Eric Davis. Well, center field, I don't know who would play, but regardless, Rose actually was a pretty good player and all that. Rose was infamous in the 1970 All-Star game for bowling over Ray Fosse of Cleveland, even though the game didn't really mean anything. Fosse, unfortunately, would have issues and all that. Rose did miss 3 games with a bruised knee, though, but yeah, Fosse was not the same afterwards. So anyway, in 1973, he led the league in hits and batting average and won the NL MVP. Unfortunately, though, he will be most remembered for that season in the playoffs against the Mets for starting a brawl. Rose slid into second base to try to break up the double play in Game 3 of the series, which incited a fight with Bud Harrelson, who died himself this year. It was a Magic League brawl. And the Shea Stadium crowd threw objects at Rose from the stands. It almost was a forfeiture to Cincy. Fortunately, though, the Mets calmed their fans down and won the game. And the Reds lost Game 5 of the NLCS. Despite his home run to win Game 4, the first of Game 5. Anyhow, Rose was the big guy from the Big Red Machine and all that alongside Joe Morgan, who's also deceased, Tony Perez, Johnny Bench, George Foster, Cesar Geronimo, David Concepcion, you name it. Pete Rose was the World Series MVP in 75 when they beat the Red Sox in that famous 7-game series that actually was rained out for, a week? Because and Pete Rose said, this is one heck of a series. And then all the media focused on that series. And that's what brought the World Series some big stuff and all that. He was named Sports Illustrated's Sportsman of the Year, also in 1975. In 1976, he helped them repeat as champions. Pete Rose got his 3,000th hit May 5th, 1978 against Montreal's Steve Rogers. And then went on an amazing 44-game hitting streak, which is the modern NL record. Nobody, I think, has gotten 40 in the NL, as far as I know. But yeah, Rose did their job. The game ended, Gene Garber struck him out on August 1st in his last at bat. So Rose, the all-time record is 44 games in 1897 by Wee Willie Keeler. But still, Pete Rose, 44 games, that was just amazing and all that. But shockingly, he would leave the Reds and head to Philadelphia, who gave him a 4-year, $3.2 million contract as a free agent, $800,000 a year. But that's still the highest paid teammate athlete in team sports. Remember, this is 1979. It's not 2024. With Mike Schmidt at third base, Rose decided to go back to first base for his career. In his time with the Phillies for 5 seasons, he went to won 3 division titles, 2 World Series appearances, and a World Series title. Rose helped the Phillies finally win a World Series, becoming the last of the 16 original franchises in Major League Baseball to win a World Series. Who can forget about Pete Rose with that great play on the foul pop-up that Bob Boone botched with 1 out in the 9th? That Rose caught it before it bounced on the ground, meaning that was an out. And then Willie Wilson struck out to end the series by Todd McGraw, who died this year too. How ironic. Anyway, Rose actually had the worst season in his career in 1983. Ironically, when the Phillies played in their second World Series of the 1980s. He was actually benched during the latter part of the 83 season and just basically pinch hit. He was a good pinch hitter. But in the postseason, he was given free reign. And in the NLCS, he went 6 for 16 and 5 for 16 in the World Series against the Orioles. Anyway, Rose was not too happy with being benched for Game 3. And who can blame him? Rose was given a release from the Phillies, and Philly actually wanted him back, but he refused to accept a playing role. Somehow, in some way, the Expos of all teams decided to sign him to a 1-year deal. And on the 21st anniversary of his first career hit on April 13th, 1984, the Expos home opener, which was broadcast across Canada live, and I saw the Dave Van Horn thing, Philly versus Montreal. Rose hit a double off Jerry Koosman, making him the second player to hit 4,000 Major League hits after Ty Cobb. He played 95 games with the Expos, batting .259 with 72 hits. Unfortunately, the Expos didn't keep him. They traded him back to Cincinnati for Tom Wallace. Rose was named player manager upon rejoining the Reds because they really wanted him to. Rose led the Reds to a 1922 record and all that. Rose is the last person to be a player manager in MLB. And then Rose practically got hit number 4192 to beat Cobb on September 11th before it became infamous for another reason. So that single of Eric Shaw, that was a huge one, all that. Regardless of that, he got 4,256 hits in his career and all that. There were rumors circulating that Rose used cork bats during his pursuit for Cubs record, but that's not really true. Anyway, Rose decided to retire as a player in 1986. But he continued 3 more years with the Reds and all that, being the manager. 426 wins, 5th in Reds history for managerial wins. Unfortunately, there were problems. He was permanently ineligible for baseball because it was found out through the Dowd report that he had bet on baseball, and especially on games involving his team, the Reds. It's one thing to bet on a baseball against other teams, but on your own team, that can't happen. So basically, Bart Giamatti had no choice but to ban him from baseball. Rose continued to say that he didn't do it, but we all know he did. Well, all that. Worst part for Rose, in a sense, was Giamatti died a week after giving the permanent ban and all that. People think that maybe there was some kind of deal that Giamatti made and Rose would come back. Unfortunately, Rose every year tried to get back in, but couldn't do it. So he was off the Hall of Fame, obviously. He was put on the MLB All-Century team, but during the pregame introduction of the All-Century team before Game 2 of the 99 World Series, Jim Gray of NBC practically badgered Pete Rose about questions about his gambling and all that, if he did it and all that. It detracted from the ceremony, and then Game 3 happened when the Yankees' Chad Curtis hit a walk-off home run and basically told Jim Gray off because of what happened with Pete. We're not talking to you. So anyway, He did participate in the all-century team thing. MLB refused to allow Rose to participate in other events in Cincinnati and in Philadelphia, which was kind of awkward and all that. However, Selig allowed Rose to take part in festivities for the 2015 All-Star Game in Cincy. And Cincy did retire his number 14 in 2016, which was approved by the MLB. Of course, he wrote a book called My Prison Without Bars, and on Primetime Thursday, early in 2004, he admitted to betting on games. And then everyone's like, where was this? He could have just said, yes, I bet on baseball. Like, just right after and all that. But what people forget is that Pete Rose actually made an appearance in WWE. For 3 years, in a running gag at WrestleManias, he would be harassed by Kane. In 1998, he was the guest announcer when Kane faced The Undertaker, and Kane chokeslammed him. It also didn't help matters that Pete Rose insulted Boston, where the WrestleMania 14 was, by making some jokes at Boston's expense. And then he got chokeslammed, and everyone cheered. In 1999, at WrestleMania 15, he was the San Diego Chicken and tried to attack Kane before his scheduled match, but got tombstoned. And then basically Kane and Rikishi tag teamed and put him in a bad spot. Rose was named to the celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame in 2004 and inducted by Kane. So anyway, Rose had several marriages and all that. His first wife, Carolyn, he married in 1964 and ended in divorce in 1980. They would have 2 children, Fawn, his daughter, and his son, Pete Rose Jr., who basically couldn't get out of his dad's shadow. Rose married his second wife, Carol, in 1984, only because the Expos refused to have unmarried partners on team flights, meaning that if Rose wanted his girlfriend, Carol, to be on the plane, then he would have had to marry her. So he basically married her. They had 2 children, Tyler and Kara. And Rose filed for divorce in 2011 and then had an open relationship with Kiana Kim, a Playboy model, and they did a TLC reality show called Pete Rose Hits and Misses, which followed the couple and the 2 stepchildren, Cassie and Ashton, and all that. While Kara worked as a TV actress, actually was part of Passions on NBC. And Pete Rose Jr. only spent 11 games in Major League Baseball. So Pete Rose has had many records and achievements, like most career hits, at-bats, singles, games played. And the only player to play 500 positions at 500 games at 5 positions. First base, left field, third base, second base, and right field, as I kind of said. But yeah, Pete Rose will always be remembered, like it or not, in the world of baseball. He was 83 years old and will be back.